into full compliance, want to salvage this deal. The big question here, however, is who's going to move first, and what are the background moves going to be in all of this?
I was just going to say, it'll be fascinating to see who moves first, or if somehow they choreograph at the exact same time. We'll watch it very closely. Frederick Plankin, great to have you there. So this morning, there is growing concern about the health of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who is in prison and said to be on a hunger strike. CNN's Matthew Chance is live outside the prison camp in Russia where Navalny is being held. Matthew, what have we learned?
Yeah, hey John, this is prison camp, penal colony number 2, in Pokrov, which is a small town about a 2-hour drive outside of the Russian capital, Moscow. You see Alexei Navalny is behind those sort of metal fences over there. We're not being allowed to go any further by these prison officers that have been posted outside to keep all the journalists and the various people, the protesters have come out here today to protest against the fact that Alexei Navalny has not been given the medical attention that he's asked for. He's been sort of quite sick over the past couple of weeks since he was moved into this penal colony. He's been complaining about a bad back. He said that pain has spread to both of his legs. Doesn't sound that serious, does it? When you consider that back in August, Alexei Navalny was poisoned with a suspected nerve agent. There is a strong chance, according to doctors, that it could be linked to some kind of neurological damage, which is why Alexei Navalny's doctors want to get in there and they want to give him a proper, thorough examination. There are other complications as well. He's on a hunger strike, first of all. He's lost quite a lot of weight. To protest the fact he's not getting the doctor that he wants to see. Also, he's, within the past 24 hours, reported a very high temperature and a cough, which is obviously very concerning in this time of COVID. But he also says that it may not be COVID, it may be tuberculosis. You know, don't worry, there's an outbreak apparently of tuberculosis inside this penal colony. Today, a number of doctors have come here to protest the fact that he's not being seen by a proper medical professional inside, and saying that, you know, his health is now a very serious concern to all of those who are watching the developments with Alexei Navalny, John.
I gotta say, Matthew, what an interesting report. Also interesting, the mere image of you standing there. It does not smell of transparency, the picture of you there surrounded by Russian law enforcement / military, does it?
No, but there has been some video, funnily enough, that's come out over the past couple of days showing Alexei Navalny inside this penal colony. It's closed-circuit television, you know, it's pictures of him sort of sleeping in bed. He's complained that he's suffering from sleep deprivation because he gets woken up every hour to make sure he's still there. There's video been put out by state-sponsored television, you know, showing him fast asleep in bed. You can see him walking around a little bit, speaking to prison officers as well. The attempt to show that he's not as bad as he says he is.
All right, Matthew Chance for us. Please stay safe, Matthew. Thank you. So this morning, Waco, Texas is title town. Baylor celebrating its first ever men's basketball championship. The highlights of the Bleacher Report next.
We live in an unpredictable environment. My show brings you the latest news and top newsmakers.
Undoing Hanen, Tuesday to Saturday on CNN.
Steve Bitterman in Paris, and this is CNN.
Tonight, hypocrite in chief. So let me just put it to you straight, Senator. Senate Democrats, they're getting their butts kicked.
No nonsense.
Are you simply shooting the messenger because you don't like the message?
Facts first.
How stupid do you think we are? Allies in Washington are covering for him, and they shouldn't get away with it.
Because getting to the truth matters.
The Washington Post went and confirmed the date of that hearing. So you're telling me unless I go back in the time capsule, you're not going to believe it?
Aaron Burnett out front, Tuesday to Saturday on CNN. When you travel the world, make sure the world travels with you. Check in, log on, and get connected with all of the latest developments at your fingertips. CNN Partner Hotels. Connected to your world.
I'm Salma Abdulaziz in London, and this is CNN. Baylor ruins Gonzaga's perfect season to win the men's NCAA tournament. Andy Schultz has more in the Bleacher Report live from Indianapolis. A lot changed yesterday, Andy.
Good morning, Allison. What a performance by these Baylor Bears here in Indianapolis at the Final Four. They dominated Houston and then just crushed Gonzaga's dreams of a perfect season last night. Hats off to the Bears, and now for the first time they can call themselves national champions. And last night's title game really was over from the start. The Bears veteran guards Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, and Maceo T just pouncing on the Zags. They were knocking down shot after shot, playing some stifling defense as well. But Baylor up 19 points halfway through the first half. Just never looked back. They win in dominant fashion, 86-70. Coach Scott Drew, he took over this Baylor program after it was rocked by numerous scandals 18 years ago. Now he's completed one of the greatest turnarounds in college basketball history.
God has blessed us with unbelievable players, the people that have come for 18 years that put in work, our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
All right, check out the wild celebration back on campus in Waco. All the fans there storming the field at their football stadium after the final buzzer sounded. All right, Stanford, meanwhile, celebrating the women's championship with a parade on campus and in downtown Palo Alto yesterday. The Cardinal beat Arizona on Sunday to claim their third title in their history, and first since 1992. And July's Major League Baseball All-Star Game now going to be played at Coors Field in Denver. That's according to multiple reports. It was originally set to take place in Atlanta, but the league decided to move the game in response to Georgia's recently passed law that critics say make it harder to vote. Major League Baseball has not responded to CNN's request for comment. But now that March Madness is over, guys, we can look at the final standings for our bracket challenge. Allison, you got third. Not going to talk about where Berman and I finished in the standings, but Jim Sciutto, first place. He didn't have the best bracket, but he was the only one that picked Baylor to win. So the lesson learned here is pays to be different.
Congratulations to Jim Sciutto there. Again, he's a Mets fan, so it's nice for him to win something. Like someday he finally gets some kind of victory.
Sweet. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
It was fun to be dominant in the bracket while it lasted.
All right, thanks very much, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. And New Day continues right now.
18 states have seen an increase in cases over the last week, including parts of the Northeast and Midwest.
What we're seeing is pockets of infection around the country, particularly in younger people who haven't been vaccinated, and also in school-aged children.
The bottom line message is the virus is going to do what it's going to do, and we're going to have to respond somehow.
The chief testified Chauvin violated the department's neck restraint policy.
What is the officer supposed to do to a person in crisis?
It's an attempt to de-escalate that situation. Every step along the way, everyone is trying to save a life, or at least that's what should be taking place, and that didn't happen.
This is New Day with Alison Camerata and John Berman.
Welcome to our viewers in the United States and all around the world. This is New Day, and happening now, we are learning that President Biden is moving up the deadline for coronavirus vaccine eligibility by 2 weeks. He wants every adult age 16 and older in every state to be eligible to get vaccinated by April 19th. That date had been May 1st. So this move, again, we're just learning about it now. What does this tell us about how the government thinks it is getting the vaccine to the people who need it most?
You really built the suspense in there in that one. Thank you. President Biden will tout the pace of vaccinations during a visit to a vaccine site today. But of course, there's growing concern about the spread of variants. The highly contagious UK variant now being reported in all 50 states. Nearly 80,000 new coronavirus cases across the country yesterday as states continue relaxing their restrictions, like this sold-out ballpark on opening day for the Texas Rangers on Monday. CNN's Jeremy Diamond is live at the White House with this developing news. So what's the plan for vaccinations, Jeremy?
Good morning, Allison. President Biden trying to move up the target date here for all Americans to be able to get vaccinated. April 19th is that new date that President Biden is setting for all American adults to be eligible to receive a coronavirus vaccine. About a month ago, he set that deadline, that target deadline for states to May 1st. Now, we should note that most states have already opened eligibility to all Americans age 16 or older, and only 5 states were set to do so on May 1st rather than earlier. So the president certainly trying to move the target date here, and he can do so directly with the pharmacy program, the community vaccination sites, and other federally controlled programs. The rest of it will be up to the states to follow suit here. But it is part of a pattern of President Biden trying to move up the target as he is able to throughout this vaccination process. You'll remember that the president had set that goal of 100 million shots in arms in 100 days. Now that is 200 million, and the White House and the country really is well on its way to that, with 167 million doses administered so far. Now, we do expect the president to be visiting one of those vaccination sites in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. this afternoon. He'll then come back to the White House to deliver remarks on the state of vaccinations. One other number that he's expected to tout is the fact that 75% of individuals age 65 or older, who are, of course, at highest risk of hospitalization and death, they have already received 1 dose, at least, of this coronavirus vaccine.
All right, Jeremy Diamond at the White House with the developing news. The president wants everyone eligible for a vaccine by April 19th. Joining us now, CNN Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay, that date moving nearly 2 weeks sooner. This is as we're averaging now, what, 3 million doses administered a day? What does this all tell you?
It tells me that they want to try and get these vaccines into increasingly younger people. We know that about 75% of people over the age of 65 now have at least some immunity. But what we're seeing around the country is, as a result of older populations now being protected, in part that's the reason why we're seeing younger people become increasingly infected. They were not prioritized for the vaccine, understandably, because they're at lower risk of getting severely ill and dying. But now they need to be vaccinated as well to try and stem the surge that we're seeing in places like Michigan. I think that's the signal. Vaccine hesitancy is a concern. Vaccine fade is a concern. People are saying, hey, look, maybe do I really still need to get vaccinated? The answer is yes. And we got clear signs of that from places like Michigan and Minnesota.
I mean, of course, the devil's in the details. So President Biden can say that he wants this. It will be up to the states to distribute it, to administer them. And so how tall of an order will it be this is for vaccinating people 18 years and older, right?
I think 16.
Is it 16 or 18, Sanjay?
So Pfizer 16. So you can get the Pfizer. You can get it as young as 16. And as you know, some of the trials are now ongoing for even younger than that. But right, you're absolutely right. The devil is in the details here. People have to get to want to get the vaccine, and I think the message that, as we've been reporting on this, the message that a lot of people are hearing is that this is a concern for people who have pre-existing conditions and who are older, and that is true in terms of severe illness and death. But again, we would do well to pay attention to what's happening in Michigan. You still have increased transmission of the virus. The vaccine can help. Younger people should get vaccinated, especially as we think about the fall next year. That will help really decrease the potential resurgence. I think, overall in the country, I'm still optimistic about things because vaccinations have proceeded at such a fast rate. The weather's getting warmer. I think the confluence of events are still going to be in our favor, but this is the race. We've been talking about the variants versus the vaccine. You're now seeing that race play out real time.
And I guess, as you say, it's important to get it to young people if young people are the ones now being affected more than they have been by the new variants. Sanjay, I also imagine this moves up the date. One of the things that I've been watching is when will demand lag behind supply? When will supply finally outpace demand? Up until this point, there's been more demand than supply, but we're vaccinating 3 million people a day now, and it may come soon. There may be a point soon when there's more supply out there than people who actually want to get the shots.
Right, and frankly, I think when they first announced the May 1st date, I think in the back of the mind, when you did the back of the envelope calculations, that was sort of the date where they thought, hey, look, let's open up eligibility at that point because we worry about this idea that the supply will then outpace demand. Now, I think, in fact, by moving it to April 19th, they're sort of telegraphing that we think that might even happen earlier. So, within the next couple of weeks, if we stay on pace, we should have another 45 million doses roughly administered by April 19th. And at that point, they say, well, the supply issues may actually start to outstrip demand. Let's open up eligibility and make sure younger people who may have been sort of sitting it out so far go ahead and sign up and get their vaccine.
Sanjay, John and I this morning have been talking about how much we've learned over the course of the year. And by we, I mean top scientists. And about how little we knew. And I'll never forget the morning that you were here on the set and you were talking about how we have to disinfect the surfaces, this desk that we sit at, and how easy it is to disinfect and wipe down surfaces, and how after that we were all wiping down all of our groceries and we were wiping down our cardboard boxes that were delivered. I mean, that whole process. And then yesterday, the director of the CDC, Dr. Walensky, came out and has changed the guidance. Here's that.
Disinfection is only recommended in indoor settings, schools, and homes where there has been a suspected or confirmed case of COVID-19 within the last 24 hours.
That's different.
Yeah, right. It is different. I did some of the videos myself of wiping down groceries and all that. It took a year to sort of have enough evidence to say that surface transmission wasn't as big a concern. Still a little bit of a concern. And, like Dr. Walensky said, within 24 hours, if someone has been COVID positive, should still wipe down surfaces. But it is interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that we've learned, I think more than anything else, besides this specific point, is how do you behave in the face of uncertainty? Keep in mind, you talk about norovirus, right? The cruise ship sort of virus. That is a virus that spreads fairly easily by surfaces. Can spread fairly easily by surfaces. Was this going to behave totally differently, or was it going to behave in the same way? I think in the beginning, as you point out, we just didn't know. So what side do you err on? Do you err on the side of just, let's be careful, let's wipe down groceries and stuff and wipe down surfaces? Or do you err on the side of maybe we don't have to worry about it? This is how this played out. So in this case, the surfaces tend to be a very, very low likelihood of transmission, but airborne, which we didn't think was as big a concern, is a much bigger concern. So we learned that as well.
I mean, cleaning stuff probably never hurt anybody.
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, you may want to keep it up.
Flu season, right?
You can clean stuff. If you want to keep cleaning stuff, I don't think it's going to hurt.
You make a good point. It did cut down hugely on all the flu numbers. So I don't regret it. I'm just marveling at how much has changed over the course of the year. Sanjay, thank you very much.